Welcome to the International Dentist Podcast. Welcome, International Dentist. My name is Gabriela La Greca, and I'm very excited to have you join us in this conversation today with a very special person. Before we go there, I want you to think about all of the challenges that you might face or you are currently facing as a foreign trained dentist trying to get an acceptance into an American program. Whether you're applying for an advanced standing program, specialty, or a GDGPR program, there are several levels of complexity in that process. And many of those you might be familiar with already, or some of them you are completely new, or you're going to learn more about those today. But there is a sense of urgency on be different, becoming that applicant that stands out of all that pool of papers. And how can you make that happen? How can you actually make your dream come true when you're just an application like many others? All of our backgrounds are different. We all come from different countries with a different set of skills. Whether you're already a specialist in your country and you come with a set of fantastic clinical skills that you're willing to prove, or you are someone who just finished dental school and wants to start a career and developing professionally in the United States, everyone faces a set of challenges. And the biggest one for all of us is to prove that you are the one. You're competent enough that this university will actually be lucky to have you. So how can we make that happen? And for that, I invited Kathy, and I'll let her introduce herself and tell you more about why she's here for today. Kathy?
Thank you, Gabby. My name is Kathy Richardson, and I am the Vice President of School and Student Services with Promethean Dental Systems. Promethean Dental Systems is a simulation training company, and we are actively exploring all possibilities to evolve dental education. One of those being assisting foreign-trained international dentists in preparing and applying for these ASP advanced standing programs with current dental universities. I am happy to be here today. I do come from about 30 some years of experience in the dental field. My degree is in dental hygiene, but I also have a degree in business. So I have used those two degrees to work not only in private practice, but to train dental software programs, practice management consulting. I've also taught dental hygiene schools, and I've been in sales and marketing for a dental distributor. So all of these things combined have influenced me and helped me in this position with Promethean Dental Systems, because I have a little bit of the business background as well as education. So I do, having taught dental hygiene school, I also, I actually had some foreign trained dentists in my dental hygiene program. So I do understand the difficulties that this foreign trained dentists are faced with. So I'm happy to be here for that and to share a little bit about our international dentist program.
Super. I actually didn't know that you had all these years and all these like multifacets experiences. I think that actually makes you a well-rounded person to really look at this from a multi-experience perspective, which I think it's so valuable when one is trying to build their curriculum and trying to become competitive, right? Which I think it's the thing that we're all looking to do. How can I become more competitive? So for those that don't know, the window of application for international programs, if you're applying for an advanced standing program, the window of application begins in March, and it changes every year. So it's always March of every year, and it closes between September and November, depending on the institution. So for those that are preparing, if you don't know this yet, by March of 2022, which is next year, you will have to have everything ready in order to apply. And everything is not only your CV and your personal statement, but also your boards, your TOEFL scores, and any other thing that you're trying to collect in order to become this competitive applicant. So how do you think people can become more competitive, Kathy? What do you think are those elements that make one competitive?
Well, I think first of all, and having researched some of the things that foreign trained dentists have to accomplish before they even can apply for that program is overwhelming. So I think to gain confidence and just increase the competitive advantage It would be taking a didactic course and a course that also includes some hand skill assessments. Because I think being in the United States and not being able to practice your skills clinically can be very difficult. So just staying up on the hand skill practice is one of the things that I truly recommend. So the important part about our program is that the hand skill assessment and the hand skill practice is done with simulation. So you aren't seeing a live patient, but you're actually working on the Simodont dental trainer. So it objectively grades and provides the assessment so that you have feedback on how you've progressed during your practice. So that is one way for those foreign trained dentists that are highly capable. I mean, they have the skills, but when they go to apply for a US school, they do need to prove their skills. So I think that our program helps those dentists show competency in the hand skills.
This might be a very basic question, but I remember when I first heard the word simulator, I was not even sure what that entailed. What is exactly a dental simulator?
Simulator, or the Simodont that we use particularly, has the haptic ability or the proprioception. So when you sit there, it's a virtual 3D machine. So you wear your 3D glasses, and when you put your hands, you're holding a handpiece and a mirror handle in one hand, but when you look through that virtual screen, there's actually nothing there until you look through the screen with your 3D glasses on. Then you see a tooth or you see a block, something that's going to allow you to practice your hand skills. And then at the same time, there's a monitor to the side that is watching and showing your progress through a grading system. And then at the end, when you submit your work, then it saves that data so that you have a written proof of your competency. So haptic in the sense that you can feel the difference in the tooth structures. You can, feel the bounce back of the decay and the different areas of the tooth. So it's pretty amazing.
I'll share actually my experience the first time that I try a simulator. That haptic sensation is so different to anything. Like as foreign trained dentists, especially not exposed to technology as much, we're all very familiar with a typodont. But we all know once we touch a typodont and we touch a real tooth that there is really no resemblance in terms of the layers of the teeth, the consistency of the material is nothing alike a real tooth, or many times it's not. So I was amazed when I tried the simulator to feel that haptic sensation, that almost like immediate response of the tissue feeling a little bit more or less resistance, whether you're going on enamel or a little bit deeper in denting or in a soft caries. I think it's amazing to be able not only to experience that level of technology, which is where we're going in terms of preclinical learning, but also to be able to prove yourself. As you perfectly said, a lot of people will ask you for hands-on skills, and how can you prove your hands-on skills if you're not licensed in this country to practice, right? And I think we talked a little bit about this before when we were prepping, that I had the experience of someone who was told in an interview, what about your hands-on courses? And this person was like, it's been COVID, like I couldn't do any hands-on course and I don't have a license to actually see patients here. So, but you must prove some sort of hand skills experience. And then how can you do that? So it seems like this use of simulator can actually overcome that challenge. But I think you mentioned about your program for international people. Do you mind explaining a little bit what is this international program about?
Okay, the International Dentist Program allows students, I'll call them students, but they're already foreign trained dentists, to apply for our program. And we're going to deliver online courses that will help you complete your application, give you tips on your interview, help you develop a personal statement. So there are some courses for that, but also you will receive a Board Vitals subscription that will allow you to practice taking the INDBE exam so that you have a lot of work with those questions. I think the Board Vitals comes with like 2,200 questions. You'll also have some support with those, technical support, as well as some analytic feedback so that you can, if you want, divide the questions into subject matter. So maybe you want to work on one subject matter more than another. So there are some great benefits with that Board Vitals subscription, but we also have 6 other practice test involved with that. And then you also get a half day of hands-on practice with our simulator. So you would complete that 4 hours of practice at your flexibility. I mean, based on your schedule, at your convenience. Just call us ahead of time, about 3 weeks out, schedule the appointment. And of course, expenses aren't included, but with our tuition. But we do have several locations throughout the US so that we can just talk with you about which location might be more convenient for you to attend. So you would have 4 hours of complete straight hands-on practice with proof of hand skill.
Okay. So it's for what I'm understanding, it's like a 2-part program. So it's like a complete package out of which you get a time for, I guess, self-paced, self-guided didactic content that you can watch from home. And that part you can do it at your own time. And how long do I have to complete this part? Let's say that I'm studying for the board exam and I haven't even get there yet. So how much time do I have to use this material?
Well, with the Board Vital subscription, you have up to 6 months for that one. But to include our other 6 practice exams and the hands-on practice, you have up to a year for that. So you can start that and just do that in stages.
So that's perfect. So I'm thinking for somebody who's planning to apply perhaps in March of 2022, let's say that they already are studying and they might be in the process of taking their board exam, or they might have it already. They could use these practice questions to fine tune. And I know that a lot of people are always looking for exam questions, especially towards the end of their preparation, because once they have covered the material is when they really need to practice more test questions. So they could access to all that. And then in addition to that, they could also go to one of your training centers and spend a half day practicing with the simulator.
4 hours, yes. So 4 hours. And then if they decide that they want to come back and practice more, then we can offer, I guess you could call it an a la carte, so that if you want to come back and practice more, you can make arrangements to do that.
Okay.
And some people have been doing that because they may find that they have an interview coming up and they practiced, several months ago, and they want to come back in and sharpen their skills a little bit right before the interview or the bench exam that they take.
That's great. So I'm even thinking for those that perhaps for somebody who's already very well trained clinically, they just want that as a proof, but some others come from dental schools in which they don't have that much clinical practice and they might be afraid of doing the bench exam.
That reduced a lot of patient care experiences for people during the pandemic. So this you can do. Social distancing is there. Nobody else is, over your shoulder. You come in and practice at your own convenience.
Okay. And how do I know, let's say that I'm an international dentist listening to this, Kathy, and I feel tempted. I'm not sure. Maybe I'm just overwhelmed with all the information that is out there. How do I know this is the right program for me? What will I gain from it?
I think you're going to gain a tremendous amount of confidence because practicing, and as we all know, practice makes perfect. So more practice is always going to increase your confidence. But also the proof of skill, the practice tests are amazing. I mean, that's 22, you get almost 3,000 total questions to review. So I think that you're going to cover every area. Also, the convenience of being able to work from home for the most part, except for the practice session. So I think it's going to offer you a complete competitive advantage through the didactic training and the hand skill training.
That's excellent. And you mentioned that there are different locations in which people can do this. So how will I know if there is a location near me?
Just contact us. We have new areas opening all throughout the year. We expect to have more after the first of the year. So we have them in the Southeast. We have some up in the Midwest, along the Eastern coastline, as well as one opening up out in Oregon. So once you contact us, we will just work with you on location and help you discover which one would be the best fit for you as far as saving you money on expenses to travel and for hotel.
Super. You actually just mentioned what I was about to ask you, because another big concern when we're coming to this country, I live that concern very, very vividly. And I still remember I only applied to the number of schools I could afford. Right. Because cost is an issue with all of this process, right? So whenever somebody's making an investment, and I know because I remember I invested in so many apps to study, and then you buy your typewriter, and then you buy your stuff to practice at home, and then you buy books, and you're basically just feeling that you're just dropping money all over in the process. What is the investment or the cost of this course?
This is amazing. We have taken what is normally a $750 practice session, and we've added the skills test and the exam questions for $500 for the student or the applicant. So $500 for the exam questions, the subscription with Board Vitals, and with your four-hour practice session.
That's amazing.
It's amazing because I've been looking into some of the expenses like you just mentioned, and some of these bench prep courses can cost up to $4,000 for 4 straight days, across the country. And once you pay the $4,000 and then your expenses to travel, I mean, that's a lot of money. So I think this is a very good start, a very good basis for those people that want to get started studying for the exam. But also, again, as you progress and you feel like you want more practice, you can always purchase that later. We've intentionally not lumped that in the beginning so that you can make that decision. Everybody's going to have a little bit different experience.
Yeah. And as you said, not everybody might need the same hours. So I think if this help make it more affordable, I'm amazed by the price. If you start just buying, even if you think about just buying the practice exam test and all that, it will easily go over $500 without even talking about the practice. As you said, like everything that is with practice is on the thousands. So this is such a great opportunity. If people want to, like, let's say, jump into this opportunity right now, when is this program available? Can they do it now? Is there any timeline for it?
Absolutely. It's available now. There isn't a timeline. We are looking forward to a lot of people joining us before the end of the year so that they can start out the year 2022 for their year of completion of the program. But we're excited to offer this as soon as tomorrow or Monday. So just reach out to us via our website at PrometheanDentalSystems.com, and you can go on site and register and check out the information, watch a few videos as well.
That's excellent. So basically, I could just make a decision. If I'm ready for it, I could just go online and find you guys and set up a time. And what I like that you mentioned about the year is, let's say somebody's just planning to apply, whatever, March, April, May next year. So they might be in that phase or start like fine tuning their preparation. This is like a perfect timing if they purchase before the end of the year, because they still have a few months, not only to finalize their application, but also to practice. And they could probably plan their practice later on, let's say after they apply, once they get the interviews,
right,
and they know that there's going to be a bench test involved, they could plan their practice session, right?
Right, exactly. So it can be done in stages. If you give yourself a year, then you could use the first part of the year with your Board Vitals. Then you can use the second part of the year with your practice session and with the other 6 exams. That gives you something to do all year long.
Okay.
And those skills, because I think test taking is hard for a lot of people. You get test anxiety, and so I think the more you review those exams and the content, and then focus on the areas that you need more work on in those subject areas, then I think as long as you're continually studying that over the year instead of waiting at the last minute to just do a quick review.
Absolutely. I'm even thinking in my experience with the exam, I took when it was still part 1 and part 2, but I'm telling you that there is not one technique that works for everybody, but something that is common for most people is because this is a different kind of exam. In many countries, we don't utilize like multiple choice questions to this extent, or not even like 500 questions exams or anything like that. So just even practicing as a diagnostic tool, like doing the practice exam as a diagnostic tool initially, that I always give that recommendation to foreign trained dentists. If you don't know where to start, take a practice exam, see where your scores are very low, and dedicate most of your study time to those areas that require more attention. And then every month, do a practice exam. So that way you could fine tune your study. And the last month before the exam, what I recommend everybody to do the last 2 weeks, just do practice exams. Like break that fear of doing many, many questions a day. So you're very well trained. It's a marathon, not a sprint. So you're well trained to be sitting in a chair, answering questions, knowing what the feeling of do that is. And that's why it's so important to have this practice test.
Right. Learning how to read the questions properly and not jump to immediate conclusions, and to think through the questions rather than just select an answer. So I think there is some test taking skills. It requires a little bit of practice.
Yeah. And then especially for someone who, I don't know, maybe there are different experiences, but when English is not your first language,
Right.
You read a question, you don't even know what they're asking you sometimes, because in your own language, you might identify when there is a tricky question or when the answer is trying to confuse you a little bit. You easily could identify those type of questions, but in a different language, it adds another layer of complexity. So the more time you give yourself for practicing, the better, but also the more resources you have in terms of getting questions from different sources and having different banks. That's why I like that you offer different banks of questions too, because there is no one bank. And I definitely recommend people not to use only one source in terms of, I know many people love like phone apps and things like that are very convenient, and those are great, but I don't feel that that's the only area people should study from.
You should hear things over and over consistently and in different ways. I mean, you can ask the same question 2 or 3 different ways. So I think being attuned to that and having more exposure, like you said, will help tremendously.
Super. So I'm creating a timeline in my head for those people. And I guess I just mentioned already like 3 times, like it's March of 2022, but just to keep in mind deadlines. Yeah. I think building timelines around deadlines is very American for those that don't know. So we work on deadlines, and that's something that I learned to love about this culture because it keeps you very efficient. So if the deadline for people will be to be ready to apply in March, if they sign up for this program, they still have close to 5 months to complete the material, do the practice exams, and still they will have the remaining 6 to 7 months to hopefully get an acceptance to some schools, or at least a call to an interview, and to have the opportunity to practice and maybe plan the visits with you guys when they know when their opportunities for taking this bench test are, and they can plan their visit and have their half-day practice. Or if they need more practice, they can always do that later on if they need it, right?
They can schedule again at a different time. Absolutely.
Super. This is so great. One last thing, Kathy, before we close, because I think that hopefully we get people motivated to go on the website and research a little bit more about the program, because I think it's fantastic. Not only is it a great opportunity in terms of creating this competitive advantage that people are looking for and are needing as a foreign applicant, not only for advanced standing programs, but even for specialty. Many times people, especially for specialty programs that are very competitive, there is no way that they can prove that they're the best candidates out there. So maybe having a rapport with several hours of practice could make that difference. And I know that you guys have connections with some universities as well. And eventually we're really trying to push technology together. So I know that that's something that in the future, everybody in this country will be very familiar with, having these centers to go. And
some of our centers will be in universities. So that could be a helpful connection for some of those students or some of the applicants.
That's fantastic. Mm-hmm. That's great. So I think it could really help people if they start now, be ready for the first part of the year, have their application ready, go over all the material that you guys have for how to prepare an application, how to do a personal statement, all those contents that you have there. So you have all that support as well in their own time. Then they go, they practice, they do more if needed. And then hopefully that's going to really make the difference. So
hopefully, yes. We're looking forward to seeing people in our centers.
Yeah, that's very exciting.
We're looking forward to sharing the Simidot and the simulation technology.
I guess one last question.
Okay.
What's your motivation to do what you do, Kathy? What excites you about this program and about this technology?
Well, I will tell you that when I joined Promethean Dental Systems, I was told that, you'll be doing a lot of different things because, we were a startup company. So I have found that what I really enjoy is working with students and working with the schools. So that has become my area. So again, I'm vice president of school and student services. So it's a joy for me to go into schools and talk to new students, talk to students that are currently there, and just share the opportunity and promote new technology. As an instructor, it was always frustrating that our students weren't able to practice or to learn on the newest, the latest and greatest technology. So I think having this available for students in the universities so that they're exposed to it from the time that they get admitted into the program or even before, I just think it's important that we share the technology not with clinicians after they've graduated, but before they enter school, because they need to learn all of this technology and learn how to incorporate it so that they become better clinicians and provide a higher standard of care for the patient.
That's what we all want.
Yes.
Great. Well, I just want to have final closing here. inviting people again, go visit the website, www.prometheandentalsystems.com. Is that correct?
Well, I don't even know if you have to put the W's in there anymore. It could be just at prometheandentalsystems.com, because we updated our website. So it's all new, and I think you'll find some interesting information and great videos. So just even if you go to an area that's not, for the international dentist, go and check out the other areas of our website and learn what we're doing in the other areas of continuing education and digital dentistry. So new things coming out all the time.
Excellent. So let's make sure people go in and don't miss this opportunity. Only $500 for 1 year course. This is...
I know. It's incredible. I mean, it really is incredible, because like I said, I was researching some of the things, some other programs, and it's very expensive. So
yeah, it is. And I will say that I've been really supporting and watching the progress of the company in the past couple of months since we met. And I'm just amazed that you guys were able to come up with this like super low price. I think it just honors the fact that you want to make an effort to support this community, support this international dentists with a technology that you already have. You don't need to have an international program. I know that you're already serving so many other spaces in the dental education world, but I know you are doing this because you know it's important.
Right.
And it's very, I know nothing about numbers, but I could imagine that it barely covers the cost. So I want to make sure that all of our listeners, all of our followers, don't miss this opportunity. Share it with somebody that you believe it could serve, as is a one in a lifetime opportunity, I will say. And I'm very grateful for PDS for supporting the international dentist community and for collaborating with us. Thank you. Thank you, Catherine.
Thank you so much.